Record spending in this year's federal budget with big wins for some sectors and disappointments for others.
We're putting your budget questions to a mega panel of experts this morning, and joining us is CEO of the Tourism and Transport Forum, Margie Osmond, Director of the Parenthood, Georgie Dent, and Sean Rooney from the Australian Aged Care Collaboration. Thank you so much, guys, for your time this morning. Sean, let's go to you because aged care, you're one of the big winners in this budget, securing $17.7 billion. With all the recommended changes laid out by the Royal Commission, is it enough?
Look, what we've seen is a record spend into aged care. We've seen a comprehensive response from government to the 148 recommendations to the Aged Care Royal Commission, and now a 5-year plan that gives older Australians, aged care workers and services, and indeed the nation, ambition and hope for transforming the aged care system so it's enabled and funded to deliver the care and services older Australians need and deserve.
This is a great thing. Jane Malsiak is the aged care resident who received, you might remember, received Australia's very first COVID vaccine alongside the Prime Minister. She sent in this question for you this morning.
The budget has promised billions of dollars for aged care. What will this mean for residents like me?
Sean, good question.
Yeah, great question, and she's a ripper, isn't she? Look, what it means for residents in aged care is more staff time. Those staff will be better skilled and qualified and trained, so they'll have the time and the skills to be able to deliver the care that older Australians in aged care homes need, not only today, but also a roadmap for the future with future investments for more skills, more training, more staff and more wages, importantly for aged care workers. And a shout out to all nurses in aged care today on International Nurses Day.
Do you have enough staff to cover?
Look, I mean, this is one of the big challenges now for the nation, isn't it, around how do we mobilise the workforce to be able to deliver the care that's required, not only in aged care, but across the care economy. We'd be looking forward to working with the government on those programs that they've announced last night to make sure that we do have adequate numbers of staff to deliver that care that is required. And we know that the Royal Commission has really opened up an expansive level of different services. It's not just the traditional personal care workers and clinical care, it's mental health, it's allied health, it's occupational therapists and social and emotional supports and other activities for residents, but also people ageing in their homes.
I tell you what, it's all happening down in Canberra there this morning, isn't it? Georgie, let's talk about...
It's all happening here.
Georgie, let's talk about childcare, a $1.7 billion investment. So that's going to see about 250,000 Aussies more than $2,000 better off each year on average. How much of a difference will that make?
Well, when you consider that there are around 1 million families who use early childhood education and care at the moment, the fact that 250,000 families will benefit is obviously not nothing, but it is only a quarter of families who use it. The $1.7 billion sounds like a terrific headline, but when you realise that it's actually spread over 3 years, and when you consider that we actually already spend $10.3 billion annually on the childcare subsidy, the $1.7 billion over 3 years only amounts to about 5% of the existing subsidy. And so it is really fair to say that this is tinkering at the edges. We know that tinkering with the subsidy, unfortunately, only inevitably leads to increases in fees. So while you do deliver some short-term relief to some families, it's certainly not the systemic reform that we need.
Yeah, and when we talk about childcare, I mean, we sort of talk about it being for women. Of course, it's for families, for mum and dad to help out here. Do you think, just very quickly, do you think it is going to get more women, give them the freedom to go back into the workforce if that's what they want?
I don't think it will make a meaningful difference to the majority of women in Australia, and unfortunately the reform that we need needs to significantly increase the way in which women can participate in the workforce to achieve financial security. And we also need to improve the participation rates of young children in these services, and we need to make sure we've got a workforce that is well remunerated and securely employed, because otherwise our early learning system will completely fall over.
Okay, we've got a question from mum of two, Jessica Cra, about childcare support. Take a listen.
My son is in daycare 3 days a week. Does that mean I miss out on the extra cash in this year's budget?
Georgie?
Yes, for families with just one child, there isn't any fee relief. And the only thing that Jessica might benefit from is the elimination of the annual cap. And if her family has hit the annual cap previously, then possibly from April or May, they may have been paying full fees, whereas they will receive an additional subsidy for those last few months of the financial year.
Okay, still plenty of work to do there. Margie, no new funding announced for aviation or tourism. We've got a question here from Flight Centre worker Hayden Long.
The travel and tourism sectors have been particularly hard hit by border closures. Is there anything in this budget for these companies and for the people who work for them?
Okay, Margie, I guess not too much.
The short answer is no. Yes, we've seen a package previously and that was a little vexed in terms of who it did and didn't help. I think the big problem here is we're facing another 12 months of border roulette. You know, we've had a whole lot of different indications across the board when the international borders will open. We're still having problems with the domestic ones, if the truth be known. But the idea that we won't be opening internationally until the middle of next year will be the death knell for so many businesses. You're going to see white flags going up all over the place as people just say, too hard, I can't do this. And when we do actually open after the middle of next year, according to the budget papers, I'm not quite certain who's going to be here to look after any international tourists.
Muggy, there was supposed to be, there was speculation, I'm not sure where they got the figures from, a $750 million boost for like a job seeker kind of, or job keeper kind of boost for tourism. Did that not eventuate?
Certainly didn't see it. We had suggested that for those businesses that are deeply affected by there being no international visitors, that there was an opportunity for about $800 million to support them with a wages subsidy. Not dissimilar to what we see in Singapore. But look, the other thing with this too is that because we can't open the borders, we can't get the skilled staff in that we need to make the industry work for the locals. I mean, you try and book a hotel room in a capital city for a nice weekend away at the moment, the hotels are having to cap their number of visitors because we can't get the staff to service people.
It's a huge issue. Where are you going to get them from? This is in hospitality and tourism all across Australia.
Yeah, and look, you know, at the other end of the spectrum, don't forget infrastructure. I mean, there was some good money last night in the budget for infrastructure. Very happy to see that, light rail and roads, which is also, you know, to a degree supportive of the tourism industry. But you've got all these massive projects up and down the eastern seaboard and not enough skilled people to deliver them. So we really are going to have to look at this issue of skilled migration, and urgently.
Yep, good call.
Before the middle of next year. All right, guys, that was fantastic. Thank you for answering those questions. We'll talk to you soon.
Great segment, wasn't it?
That was really good questions that people have sent in, and we'll do a few more of those over the coming days.